Hey, aloha, love tribe. Welcome to Bitcoin for Peace. I have somebody here with me who I got to hang out with in Madeira, Portugal. I also got to hang out with her in El Salvador. She is on a mission to help young people learn about Bitcoin. She's the lead teacher for Me Premier Bitcoin in El Salvador. Welcome, Reyna Chicas. What's up, my soul sister?
Hello, Valerie. Thank you. Oh, that's a nice presentation. Yes, I'm really happy to be here. Super excited, uh, nervous, but I'm really glad that we're gonna hang out on camera again.
Yeah, we're just going to chill and relax. And it was so great to get to spend several moments with you in Madeira at Bitcoin Atlantis for the Me Premier Bitcoin event, the unconference, and for the night before. It was just great. Let's talk about what are you up to, what's going on, and what's hot and fresh. And I know you just came from something very special in El Salvador. You want to tell everybody?
Yes, of course. Well, where to start, right? We have
Mhm.
so much going on. Just a quick recap. Say last week it was full of events. At the end of the week, I was like, "Ah, there is no place like El Salvador right now, honestly, to
Mhm.
do all of these things." On
Yeah.
Tuesday, we had a graduation from Mi Primer Bitcoin, 120 students. The
Wow.
evening, we had a charity gala. On Wednesday, we were to visit a town here with a partnership that is very excited for us coming up soon. And on Thursday, we graduated, the first cohort of the public school teachers that we taught last year with the Minister of Education there. He was there at the government office. And on Friday, I got to attend at least one day to the Halloween party, and it was amazing. It was really good. I heard it was a lot, at least 500 people, which is I was surprised. That place is huge, so you didn't even feel it,
Wow.
but you get to see some friends, make new friends, like in every conference. Really cool. And we have just released also our 2024 Beacon Diploma version.
Oh, wow.
I'm happy also to announce that I'm working already in the Spanish translation. It's a lot of work, so I'm really like honored, to feel like I'm gonna put a little bit of my knowledge in it. And we had actually just a meeting an hour ago with the team from the Ministry of Education here to go to the next phase of this pilot.
Hmm.
So in 2 weeks, on April 22nd, we start with the next group of teachers from the public school system, and they are going to be 129, just this first group for one day, and then we're going to visit all the schools. Do they what they really also care the most about? I mean, on top of the knowledge, is the fact that they want us to do, sending sats, helping the teachers in the schools. Like every kid has their wallet, and that's very important for us. So although it's a lot of work for all the team that is involved, to travel seriously throughout the country, is very rewarding. Yesterday we started a new Bitcoin diploma too. It's just like a lot. Like I feel sometimes it's a lot, and but I don't know if you feel this, Val, but it's the fact that you just, I wish I had more hours in the day.
Oh, my
It
God.
doesn't
I
feel like
know.
a long day. It's just that you just don't have enough time for everything that's coming and everything that we're doing. So I'm really excited also to share a little bit.
It's amazing. Like, you guys have been on fire since day one, and I've been a huge fan of Me Premier Bitcoin, and, obviously educating young people is, they're the future, whether they're in El Salvador or anywhere on planet Earth. And I think what we're missing is financial literacy, we're missing financial empowerment, we're missing even the understanding from young people and obviously adults that there's a different way for them to create their own future. And so to me, Bitcoin is such an opportunity for young people to see the world through a very, very unique and different lens than anything before. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about, like, who's the big, just for the audience here who doesn't know what the Bitcoin diploma is, and anybody who's listening who's, new to, is like, why is El Salvador doing this? Like, can you help people, just for a couple minutes, tell everybody what's the Bitcoin diploma, who's it for, and why is it started in El Salvador?
Yes, of course. Well, just for the audience, let's say nobody knows about Me Primer Bitcoin. We are an NGO, and we're a
Mhm.
nonprofit based in El Salvador. We teach Bitcoin financial literacy and Bitcoin education to young kids. We started our Bitcoin diploma in 2022 was the creation of the first one. And
Mhm.
then what we did was basically, just make this book. It was 10 chapters. So it was the first one to be used on a public school. We started teaching on our own on schools for the let's say the youngers in the some areas of the country. And then after it kicked out, we started with our first introductory class end of 2021. Last year 2023 was, we grew exponentially. So this version that we created in 2022 has been through different changes throughout,
Mhm.
the history. Let's say we are on, I believe this is version 5 already, 2024 we call it, because it's this year. So it's very exciting to see what this first, let's say, product brought to us. Not only, attention, but the demand that we saw. This is what led us also to work with the Minister of Education. They basically, the materials that they're using to teach the teachers in the public schools is basically like the base material is the Bitcoin diploma, is our curriculum, is 10 chapters. So we say 10 weeks, right? But it depends. I mean, someone can teach it in a week if you do, uh, you know, 1 or 2 hours every day. And then also, we have, this is very excited because this one was created basically, for teenagers. Like we get them in their high school year and adults, and it goes from zero. It goes from I know nothing about Bitcoin to self custody. So you
So cool.
go, financial, like what is money, why do we need it, what it gives money value, what makes money money, right? Like what is it? And then we go through the evolution, the history of money, when we started trading, bargaining, and then now to uh, digital money, cryptocurrencies, all of that, like everything that has gone through history, so they can also sort of understand. We talked about the gold standard, Nixon shock, the whole thing. And it's so surprising. I mean, kids, I get it, but with adults, when we've done open enrollments in communities, they
Mhm.
have no idea how money is created.
Yep.
They didn't really know that, money, like the dollars, US dollar, is not backed by gold. What I was having, I mean, not an argument, but the other day with a lady that she thought that, yeah, but if the US does it, then that means that every country has to print money. And I'm like, they do. Like, every country has and so they started with little, what, every time. So now, after, this is great with this new version diploma, now there is more people in communities around the world reaching out. Hey, how can you get this? How can I implement it? How can I teach it in my community with my school? So I'm actively creating, with the help of, one of our teachers, Gerardo, who's great, and the team, of course, teacher lesson plan guide. So this new version can have that extra resources to make it easier to teach it. And then we've recently started also a partnership collaboration, let's say, still with the Minister of Education, but also with Lina from the Little Hodler,
Oh,
where we're
yeah.
gonna create the curriculum for younger audiences. This is gonna be, so 2024 is gonna be the year for development, and then on 2025 we expect to launch the pilot in the schools. But this is going to start at 7 years old. So there is gonna be two workbooks created, 7 to 9, and then 10 to 12, and then 13, 14. We can use the Bitcoin diploma, right? And it is the one from MPB. And this was when we had that meeting at, the ministry offices. At a moment when we went out, I was like, this is massive. The fact that we're gonna get these concepts, of course they're not gonna know, learn now how to run a node, but by the time they get to, 10th grade, 11th grade, they're gonna have so much knowledge that the Bitcoin diploma is gonna be something like, what is this? I already know this. And another super exciting thing about that is that it's going to be open source. So
Yes.
it's like everything, that we want to create is also going to be. So this um, is going to start, yeah, like I said, next year. And we also have new partnership, but all based on education. So it's really, I can only be grateful and proud of be part of this team. How we started literally with one school, and last year we already taught over 30,000 students in person, and that's not even escalated to online. And then we have also a Lightning network that has over 20 countries already, and a big community of 25 people translating this Bitcoin diploma into more than 25 languages.
Oh my gosh. 25 languages, 30,000 people so far in person in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, holy way to go. High five. I wish I could hug you.
Yes, I know, right? We can only see, what's coming. Like that's we seriously have more demand that we can cover. Like we can talk for hours for the other things that probably,
Oh my god.
yeah, I'm not gonna say publicly yet until they are official, but it's so much coming that, yeah, I'm so excited about the future.
I'm so excited about the future. How are you guys raising money? Like, how are you funded?
So we have fund, well, the community, the generous community for donors and sponsors,
Mhm.
and also grants. We have grants. Now we are going to start. I mean, all of our classes have been for free so far, right?
Mhm.
The only ones that we are going to start, there is also a new development of curriculum for business, because here in El Salvador, also companies are starting to see, hey, I need my employees to learn about this.
Yeah.
And probably they don't want, just to self custody, right? They want to also, the employees bring up new ideas. They need to learn what Bitcoin is so they can have ideas for the business, which is
Mhm.
it's valid, right? Like everybody needs to make a living somehow. So these companies, they are definitely gonna at least pay and cover the cost for these classes. So then
Excellent.
it's not an expense. In last Thursday that we have, was it no, Tuesday, April 2nd, that we had our charity gala. Also, it was really cool. It was amazing. We had Stacy Max, which was, the most phenomenal. I didn't expect to have so much fun with him as an auctioneer, I think you call it.
Uh-huh.
And we raised over, I believe it was 1.2 BTC on one night,
Wow. Oh
like
my gosh.
only from the auction. And we had really great items. We had a 30-minute call with Jack Dorsey, with Jeff, book signed. We have a little holder donated by Lina, signed by President Nayib Bukele. So a lot of people, was excited to attend, and it was very intimate. So it's for fundraising, right? So it's a very top restaurant in El Salvador. It's
Yeah.
one of the top 10 in Latin America, and even the owners are very generous that they, donate the space and everything, because they just like the project, they like what we're doing, and they like the community as well. And a few of the ones that attended was basically their first time also in El Salvador. They
Cool.
signed up for the dinner because it was like a 6, 7, 8 course dinner. So it's like a fancy dinner, but it was really, really cool. It set up with 50 people, probably. And so that's how we are raising right now. We still need, of course, more. So whenever you feel generous to the audience, feel free. We really appreciate it. Um, but there is so much, that we can contribute as well, right? We need to be contributors, not just consumers, for everything that's coming. And look up other projects as well if you feel like, you know looking into the, or GitHub, let's say, some of the ones, the contributors that are there are the Lignode network, and they go with or curriculum to their own communities. We try to, teach them extra resources. So it's a great community. So when you are helping, let's say, me Premier Bitcoin, it's not that you are doing it just for El Salvador. This basically serves to pay, let's say, or international relationships manager, the international expansion, the 28 nodes, 22 countries and counting. Like it's like John likes to say, it's a global movement for sure.
It's definitely a global movement. It's so special, and obviously education is the most important thing for all of us to understand in any parts of life, not just Bitcoin, and, personal growth and health and wellness and relationships and obviously money. So, okay, so let's look at this. The Light Node Education Network. I'm sharing the screen right now.
Yeah. Oh my
And
God, what's behind in the numbers? This is an updated real life
yeah,
hacks
yeah.
and
Okay, talk
nodes
to me. So, how
that it
many
was
nodes and
already.
countries
Yeah.
do we have?
Yeah. And this is a decentralized education network, right? Like it's made of numerous Bitcoin communities around the world teaching the
Okay.
Bitcoin diploma using Mi Primer Bitcoin educational resources.
Oh my god.
And basically, we want to call El Salvador the Genesis block because, we are the first nation to adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender. So it needs to be successful. We need to, be the best example that we can be for the world. And that's why we work so hard towards two as well. And
Love it.
this is a self-governed network as well. Like these 33, they basically, a new commit that if you, for example, in your area, you're teaching a Bitcoin diploma, you want to join the network, then you apply, and is the network the one that approves or denies that you join. So it's a lot of, like proof of work in there as well. It's not just, oh yeah, we say yes to everyone, and they got approved. So last time, I believe the last main assembly, it was five that were applied, if I'm not wrong, and only one got approved, which was Isabella. So they're getting
Yeah.
picky, let's say, like they're getting harsher to include, yeah, with BTC Isla in Mexico.
Oh my god. This makes my heart sing to see all of this. I mean, wow, this is seriously so cool. Um, I'm just blown away. I mean, and this is so early. This is what's so fascinating to me. It's so early to see this and to see, what is going on around the planet here with this. What Oh my
Right?
gosh. What sorry,
Imagine what are you gonna be in 1 year and 5 years. I can only, and this is only, if we put it this way, this is only Bitcoin education, right? Like, it's just not, let alone all the other companies or ecosystems, like within the same Bitcoin ecosystem, but everything else happening outside, right? Developers and all of these, like bring all of these open source projects as well, really great in their own areas. And I wonder, like, that why is that, right? And I think it's just because it basically, it's the foundation of what's to come. Like, it lays the foundation of what's to come.
yeah.
And we can only, it must, if Bitcoin is a tool that's meant to be used all around the world, then it must be taught by people all around the world.
Yes.
And so that's why also, like, all of our teachers and like teaching materials, resources are, and I'm sure that they're going to continue to be open source.
Well, and I think too, it's like super important. I would imagine, in different countries, um, definitely the cultural differences that people have about money, right? And obviously, we understand that there's cultural differences and laws, even for women, that women aren't allowed, they don't have property rights in certain areas. And so, obviously, we don't wanna go to the hardest thing first. We wanna work on what's gonna have the most likelihood of success and go outward from there, and hopefully it'll get contagious enough where people are understanding. I mean, obviously, I believe Bitcoin is a tool for peace, and so I believe it's a tool for inner peace when we feel more at ease and stable, understanding that everything that we're doing from a work perspective isn't getting melted and rug pulled from us, which creates a lot of stress inside of our minds. And then obviously it, is a scarce money that can't just go get printed out of thin air to go buy bombs and drop them on innocent people. And so I believe that, again, where we keep going, where we have the likelihood of success, and then just let that kind of keep going out, and then they all keep connecting with each other. And it seems like it's going to be like a giant light bright or Christmas tree with all the lights lit up all around the world,
Yeah,
and when we think about all the nodes around the world that are, people are running nodes in the network, and you see all those cool visualizations, it's like our heart nodes get lit up too. It's not just digital currency. It's like our hope for the
exactly.
future and thinking about the planet being healthy again and thinking about our relationships with each other and um, the relationship to the future, I think is so
I completely
important.
agree. Yes, you couldn't say it better, because at the end, the same way, like nobody learns the same way, right? Like not everybody
Right.
gets interested in the same things and
No.
path in Bitcoins. Some might like the technology side of it. Some will like development and coding and programming. Some will like the educational part, like I did, for example. And the
Mhm.
same way that people are into Bitcoin for different reasons, some are due to personal sovereignty, and maybe so they would like to, work in that side of working with communities or
Yeah.
activists, and to work to empower those groups or advocate for policies that support individual rights and freedoms. And that's where it also become it's included. So some might see it as a saving or investment tool, some like Bitcoin mining, but the thing is that it opens so many possibilities and options to a new world, either to work, to earn without
Yep.
intermediaries, to save, but all is focused on building a better future.
Yeah.
And I know that I speak from El Salvador. A lot of people might think that it's easier to work Bitcoin or earn in Bitcoin, but that's why we're here, right? Because this movement is moving so fast. And like I said, having, we can see it on all of the months that we're having. And this is only Bitcoin education. So that's why I think it's so important. And I'm, like super excited of what we're doing and what we get to contribute and share here with you and with your audience, because we're basically trying to create a world where nobody misses out their potential
Yeah.
because of where they are born or where they are in the world right now, which is what happens in all of these communities. For example, for Madeira, we wanted to have Felix, one of our nodes in Kenya, and we fought really
Mm.
hard to get him there, and visas and everything. It was just not, the organizers there, they wrote a fantastic letter. We did. We were very specific. Then we tried to bring him to El Salvador for Bitcoin Week last week. And even the authorities here in El Salvador, they were really helpful to, to write letters to the Ministry of Immigration here and all. And he couldn't even get into the plane. And this sounds sad, but what it gets us excited is that he was so positive after. Like, he was okay, I couldn't get, but I wanted to run. I want to run, another meetup here. How you guys do it? What are the best practices? He had triple the enrollment that he does for his online classes. It's amazing. Like, they just basically keep going. But us, like the ones that have better, even me, like in El Salvador, I feel like, oh my God, I still don't have that much of obstacles. I was
Yeah.
still able to go to Madeira, but people, in the West and Europe and everything that just take a lot of things for granted. This is the time to help us to build for those people as well, so they can. I mean, they all no need help directly, like just aid help. We can just help them to empower them, their own community, so nobody is going to be judged or we're going to miss the potential, or the world is going to miss out those people just because they were born in the wrong place, in the wrong country.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing that I think so many of us have to remember, and I mean, I know we take it I take it for granted a lot of times, my freedoms and everything that is so just like, well, of course I can turn water on. Of course I can turn electricity on. Of course I can get a plane ticket pretty much anywhere in the world without having my government lock me up or hold me back and not give me permission to move freely or move my money freely. I just saw yesterday, I don't know if you saw this, I think it's Chechnya just made a law that so they're I don't know if it's a country or section in Russia, whatever, it's somewhere in Russia, and you're not allowed to play music that is under 80 beats per minute or over like 112 or some random, some number. So basically no sexy music and no
Boom,
fast
boom.
music. Yeah. And so I was just like,
Wow.
okay.
Yeah.
So just as simple as stuff
Yes,
of the freedom
exactly.
of going to Spotify and being able to select any kind of songs I want, even though some of them are not great for your soul. It's just knowing that you have the freedom, the choice,
Exactly.
and I know from experience in certain parts of my life being um, without choice.
Yeah.
And I know what a number that did on my mental health and what a number that did on my just internal feeling of goodness, and it just makes you feel like small. And so for when I hear you tell me about Felix and getting disappointed twice trying to come, to Madeira and to El Salvador, I can't imagine what it must feel like to get your hopes up and then not get to do it and then still maintain a hopeful composure.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of inner strength and a lot of warrior spirit. And so people like him and other folks out there who are struggling, I want to give so much more love and support to them and just know, like, I don't know what it's like to be going through what you're going through, but you're not forgotten and you're not alone, you
Yeah.
know?
And I think they get that strength, like you said, that strength because they see a hope of a new coming. They are helping building it, and I'm sure he's gonna make it like the same way. I heard one of the panels in Madeira as well, which is one of these developers from Trust, I believe. Yeah, she's from Nigeria, and she sort of explained the same, right? Like she said, like for us, travel is so much documentation, so much, to be able to be here. And it's exactly what we want to basically do here in El Salvador, set a good example that this is possible and replicated everywhere to get the freedom to get the choice, like you said,
Yeah.
to choose your path. Maybe they're not even going to work in Bitcoin itself, but it gives you so much hope for what can another person in different scenarios can create for their own. So I think definitely we see it differently depending on where we come in on our ways of on our life and our background. Or even here in El Salvador, for example, it wasn't, I was privileged enough and lucky that I got, very well education from my parents. So all of that adds up. The fact that I speak English and Spanish speaking countries, it's another thing. So these are all the tools that we want to create also for these nodes, and these incredible people like Felix, that they have their own community because
Mhm.
they're basically doing it the same with their own community and expressing. Imagine that circle of perfect and good energy, like he was just disappointed. Probably his friends were sad for him, but he just basically switch up and it's like, let's keep building.
Yeah.
He just basically, okay, okay, I'm gonna go to bed, have a nap, and then tomorrow is a new day. And he keeps going. That's what I'm so amazed. And it happens with a lot of this community because it's like us, right? They're doing it with their own resources, with their own funds. Eventually, that's what we also try to to help them, like basically how to raise funds and be that guide for them, is to guide them and empower individuals and organizations with the knowledge and tools needed to successfully establish and operate themselves as well, right? Not just, okay, here it is, and no, we want them to also step by step provides that roadmap, um, or teams that are looking to grow also a nonprofit organization, and with documents and structure that it follows the steps needed. And all of this is hard work at the end too, right? Like we to to continue with demands for them. If every day you have 33 communities texting you from different time zone areas, like it's a lot, but it's what keeps us going as well. I think it's all of these success stories, and especially, I think sometimes especially the hard ones, because we want to change that. It's our fuel to keep going. Like we need to change this word and do it in the best way we can. And for us, it's through Bitcoin independent, impartial Bitcoin education. That's also really important. Like it has to be community led. It's like you said, it's different. It's different context. It's hard here, for example, for us to go to community and say, hey, start saving, and people is like, say what? Like I barely go check by check. So
Yeah.
it's different scenarios, but even that we're trying now to create like financial, personal finances courses for the day to day, even because we've seen once you go out and then you try to teach something and then you see, oh, okay, hold on, a little bit pause, like small pause, and then okay, we have to sort of redo these again, and maybe help people with this too. So we see the need, and we are so grateful also for all the Bitcoin. Is that's what I love about the Bitcoin community. If donating your time, your knowledge, that's also valuable. That's so invaluable actually for us, to their best resources, what they can do to show up to one of our own conference because they know that's gonna help us to sell tickets. All of that, it's we really really appreciate it. And then when we go to someone that it's, I don't know, for example, like Ben from BTC Sessions, about he's so an expert for that, right? They are so open to help us and to build. We have, with Volcano Energy, for example, a partnership on BTC education. They are basically,
Mhm.
their goal is to go and then use sustainable energy. They are a renewable energy Bitcoin
Yep.
mining company in El Salvador, and this will be an amazing collaboration because it will bring that knowledge on sustainable energy, technological innovation, because of their focus on geothermal and solar and wind projects. So I can only think, okay, say these kids from the north side of El Salvador, where there is very few to do, they don't know what they're gonna do when they finish high school, and now there is hope. Oh, I can have this job, and that's what I mean, right? They're a private company. They don't have to do it, but they're collaborating now with that. Hey, what can we do, right? How can we help? And this is gonna help us to just be stronger. It's not gonna be division. It's basically just collaborating the same way that we collaborate with Beacon Beach with this. project in with the Minister of Education for the teachers. So everybody here, I can see it that everybody's on their own. But say when we go to the to the Halloween party, we see it's like hanging out with friends again, right? It's like going to see your big family.
It's a
I
family
bumped into
reunion. Every
Julia.
Bitcoin event is a family reunion. You're like, "What's
Yes,
up?"
exactly. Yes, everybody from their own frontier. So it's amazing. And say we contagious this spirit to younger kids, they're gonna have this knowledge and freedom and critical thinking since a very young age. It's gonna be in their brains. There's no competition here. We all contribute. We're gonna have a much better work. I can only feel hopeful of what the world we're building.
I think it's so powerful. And you were speaking about just going to the next level, obviously, after we, have these young people and even the older folks educated about, okay, what's Bitcoin, what's financial literacy, what's, the possibilities for my future. And then, okay, let's go apply that now into some other job training, some skill development, some career ideas, and thinking for like, do I want to work in a Bitcoin company? Do I want to start a restaurant? Do I want to have a daycare for children? Do I want to be a teacher? Whatever it might be, it's just continuing to give that those seeds of hope through education and through demonstration, and show, because a lot of people don't know what they don't know until they know it.
Exactly. Yeah,
Then it's just
correct.
kind of like, you don't, you young, you're like, whoa, I can go have this career. Me? Really? Are you sure? Yeah, you, babe. And all your friends. And so that's what I think is it's so exciting when you see the light bulbs come on, for everybody. And then when there's that reinforcement of the community and the mentorship that comes with it, I think it's very, very, it's contagious and super powerful. Can you share, if you don't obviously keep privacy with anybody, you know, I titled this episode, can Bitcoin education help children escape poverty? Can you share you know, any stories or something where, you've seen one of the students turn into perhaps a teacher that now is like, cool, I'm going to go open up my own node here in this part of El Salvador with my family, or something that maybe some folks listening could understand, like how this has helped transform somebody's life from um, possibly a place of hopelessness or meaninglessness into a place of hope and meaning and impact.
Yes, for sure. I mean, yeah, and let's talk about this one because he shared it publicly on a podcast with Javier Bastardo a while ago. And
Okay.
Gerardo is one of our all-star teachers, honestly. Like every time you're with these young kids. Yesterday, so we opened this new Bitcoin Diploma at a new school that yesterday was our first time with the group, the last year of high school. And I only talk a little bit like, hey, I'm just going to say what we do, what we are, but then do it yourself, introduce what we teach. And he also tell a little bit about his story, right? It's like, well, how old do you think I am? And because for some reason he looks a little bit older and everybody's like 25, 27. He's like, no. And then he's like, I'm 19. And I took the Bitcoin diploma on 2022, 2 years ago, just like you at your school. And, now I'm a teacher from Mi Primer Bitcoin. And it's not just the job, let's say, right? The way
Mhm.
it's what you see. He is so much knowledgeable now. Also, like even he got into his own rabbit hole. He likes, the technical part. And he was raised by a single mom. He was working at construction at 12 years old already. So he barely,
Wow.
finished high school. And he tells me, I mean, what I'm making now, let's say if we want to go with the salary part, it's like, what, 5 times, 3, 4 times more than I was making, and already 12 because he had to help his mom. And then, of course, what we see on his brilliant future, I'm like, Gerardo, what he's doing already at 19, I can only imagine what he's gonna be at 25, barely 25, like just already, because that's the thing, right? Like all of these new tools that students that are now in their high school year are gonna have for the future, but we're talking about 1, 2, 3 years from now. Like for Gerardo, that was just 2 years ago. So pretty soon, it's just like you said, we can talking about the future, but the future is here now already, like for next year,
Yeah.
because they are about to go out in the world, not knowing how really money works, unsure or or unaware sometimes also how or continuous loss of purchasing power works, and also with not many opportunities. So either they will work on Bitcoin or not. All of this new knowledge is already tremendously helpful, which is what he also expressed it to the students yesterday. It's like, you are about to go to work next year, most of them, because that's the majority here in El Salvador. Like, it's, I don't know the numbers. I can ask, I guess, the people in the Ministry of Education the actual numbers of how many people from students when they graduate from high school actually go to university. It's not very
Mhm.
normal. 18, you graduate from high school. Basically, the first thing you do here is look for a job. And he told them, and how do you know how you're gonna manage your money? It doesn't matter how much you make, but are you going to be able to provide yourself financially, or are you just going to earn and spend, earn or spend, because you don't know, how money works, or you don't know about this also new technology that can serve you um, for savings and store of value.
Mhm.
So it's different for sure. The attention that he gets from the students, like they were all quiet, for someone like me, right? Like they just see me that, oh yeah, she's the one from this organization and whatever, we have to be here. But
Yeah.
with Gerardo, they were like, oh, paying attention, and that's a powerful story, right? And that's just one of many too that we're gonna have. Yesterday was also another student at the school. He saw us with the teachers, and you can see him super young. And hey, my name is Joel, and I am in the council of students program with the Minister of Education. And somehow he heard about us, and he was also the one that made the contact that he wanted me primer Bitcoin at his school. So imagine he has not even graduated, and he made the contact. Hey, we should call them, and because they can come to our school and teach us.
Wow.
So I'm like, you're just 18. Like, I asked him, how's your English going? All of these questions just to see, the potential, and you can see the price. I also asked them, because that community in Ciudad Delgado is here. It was very dangerous. Like back in the day, it's very dangerous. Like almost everywhere in El Salvador, it was very dangerous. And
Mhm.
I asked him, how was like here before? Do you think it would have still be able to come? And he was like, no, 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 no. Right now it's just so easy, for me to say, hey, we want a group of teachers, and it doesn't matter your age. For example, with Gerardo, I would never risk sending him as a teenager to any other community that's not his own, because you will never know. So that's also another switch now that is flipping for these kids that are
Mhm.
16, 17, that they don't feel super tied up, like with the dangerous part, or what it was before with the violence in El Salvador. Now is our turn to also switch that hope. Okay, so we had this problem aside now, right? Okay, what are we gonna do? Because that's also important. Before, I think it was hope from different parts. But if we are eliminating certain obstacles, then our job is basically to put that extra mile there for them to get, oh yeah, so there is hope, right? So there is something that I can learn, or there is something I can dedicate, or I can just be a freelance if I want, and I can get paid from anywhere in the world easily without intermediaries. All of that, it's possible now.
It's so exciting. So you're saying that before all of Bitcoin adoption and President Bukele coming in, it was so unsafe that you wouldn't even consider sending any of your students outside of their own zone. But now you would feel more confident knowing that that's a possibility because these obstacles have been removed. I mean, I remember when I was there 2 years ago, the first time I got to come and we got to go to one of the schools, and the kids were saying, we're so happy we can go out now and get groceries and walk down the street and we don't feel scared and we don't have to have an adult that's protecting us. And I mean, it's still, I mean, just any kid shouldn't, depending on how old they are, of course, but there seemed to be like a settling of the energy and the system of not being so in terror all the time. I can't imagine what that's like, for years and years and years and decades with what was going on in El Salvador. So, I mean, what a breath of fresh air to be able to
Exactly.
move freely in your own country and feel much safer than you've ever felt before, and then feeling much more on purpose and alive, you know? How has it changed for you, Reina? Like, what's it been like? Oh, you just froze up, hopefully.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Um,
Okay, cool.
what's the transition been like for you over the last, 2, 3, 4 years? Just
Yes,
personally,
I think
if
it's
you don't mind me
exactly what
asking.
you. Yes, I'm here. Well, I think it's I've never thought it that way, but it's like, you said, a breath of fresh air.
Mhm.
Because say we were here, like big country and talking about all of this freedom and stuff when we were basically in prisons in our own country, like couldn't go to visit a family because they live in an area that is too dangerous. I couldn't go visit some friends that live also in areas that I cannot enter. So it's a different, and it still happens, honestly. It's like PTSD, right? Because still yesterday when I told my mom where I was going, and she was like, who are you going with? Because, and she was like, are you taking your computer? All of those questions. Because, and she was like, it's someone else going with you. And she was like, just be careful, please. It's used to be one of the most dangerous areas. I let me know when you get there. So that's, and we've been in 2 years already without, say, most of the violence and the guns, um, roughly. So to live, 2 years and still having those fears only tells you that it's been so many years seriously in terror in a way.
Yeah.
But it's just it's basically been like unlearning how it was and what we can do with our
Yeah.
own life, with our own sovereignty, with all our dreams and hopes and hobbies, whatever I like. If I like to go to the park with a bike, then I can do it now. But I couldn't do it 2 years, 3 years ago because I'm a woman, and that was
Mhm.
dangerous here. So even that part, I think it's, at least to me, it's also been a little bit liberating, because I was so dependent either on a male, and not because I wanted or because they wanted, it's because it was the way. Couldn't go out that much at night. Even on the years, I believe that probably unconsciously, that's what I took that decision of going to Guatemala, was on 2017, 2016, 2017. I lived there for 4 or 5 years roughly. And it was those years where we basically hold the title of the most dangerous country in the world. So it's interesting how, even though that was happening, we will still have this love for the land, for the people, for, we didn't want to say it's so bad here, don't come, right? But we would basically have to just warn people or warn our family to just be careful if they want it. Or I worked in the tourism industry in Guatemala, so I will also be open to tourists. Hey, you can go to El Tunco, here, Santa Ana, and get out. So now it's so amazing to me when I met at a having party. Just new people from Australia, from Germany, and all of that. And like, yeah, no, it's my first time, but I'm actually checking how to move in. That would have never been the conversation, nor even 3 years ago. And I think the most, what I love about our people here is also that we're so welcoming.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes, you
there
are.
is no racism, if you want to call it, like whatever you look like, we're always gonna be kind. So all of these people that is coming here and to build, and they want to you know grow their family, they're gonna be welcome anyway. So it doesn't feel like, oh, what are these tourists coming here and they're going to make everything more expensive, because at the end of the day, it's also expensive everywhere. But because we don't have that violence, that there is this hope of everybody now can, be an entrepreneur, have their own little coffee shop. You just put your little car like Cherito outside there, and you're not going to be extortioned by the guns, right? So it's at different levels, helping the parents, to, I think, let go of the kids. And then even to me as a grown old woman, it was, my dad would never let me use Uber, the app, because it was dangerous too.
Yeah.
So everything that we could build now that is positive and is good, it's possible because of that.
It's incredible, and I think, what do you like, when you were at the having party, which sounds great, and I've FOMO, I missed that. But but,
You would love that, yeah.
when you're talking to people who want to move to El Salvador, obviously, like, there's a lot of Bitcoiners who are excited to start being a part of a community, that is, like, all arrows are pointing forward in the same direction towards a better future together, and what are the things that they wanna leave behind? Like, did you have any questions or any opportunities to kinda say, like, "Yeah, I'm leaving behind just,"
Yeah, I
and I
believe
don't
my
know.
favorite was, forgot her name. She was from Australia, and she told me, I've been here, like 48 hours, 24 hours, but because of what my friends have told me and I've seen so far, is that everybody's so kind. It's very family oriented, which is also
Mm,
true. Like, Salvador is pretty traditional. And then what they're leaving behind, I think, is that rush or negativity on their own
mhm.
systems. But I
Yeah.
think what they say is also maybe sometimes it's unconscious that you just don't feel that there is a bitter on your word until you see something else. Like you said, you don't know what you don't know, right? And when you come here and they're like, oh my God, people is so nice. And then they just met you. And then they meet, of course, people that has been living here, expats from 1 to 2 years, and they loved it. And they'll bring their kids. So they're leaving behind, I think, probably, I don't know, culture is hard to name it, but I guess that culture of just working, 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 not feeling what's the end, what is it for, um, you know, having that mentality of until retirement, but not that balance of I'm having fun. I am also happy what I do. It happens to us at Mi Primer Bitcoin, especially the leadership team. We are so busy, but we feel that we still okay. Let's go for a coffee, and we're gonna have a work meeting. But we also have that part of a little bit of freedom, and fun and to decompress. And one of the things that I love that she told me was that I just don't feel happy anymore. And of course, I'm gonna miss my family, and I'm gonna miss. I guess sometimes comforty like that. There are
Mhm.
a lot of things in the Western world, like Australia, that of course you're not gonna have here now yet. But I'm sure that they are coming, so they can open their own vegan company, for example. And I'm happy to hear that that's what they see here,
Yeah.
because then if they're leaving it behind, and then there is a reason why they see a difference here. There's a different word. It sounds cliche a little bit sometimes, right? Like, oh, but it's this optimism. I think it's optimism, and it gets collective. Of course, it's hard. I mean, not everybody that I talk to, I have this interaction and super energy with you. It changes. We
Yeah.
still live in a fiat world. We're still living with inflation and the valuation of currency. But still, I mean, imagine that grade with 35 kids yesterday, right? Like over 10 weeks, they're going to have a different mentality and a more optimism, and we can build. They can go to their families, and it's contagious. So then if new people here comes to, then that means that they feel that they cannot contagious that in their own country. They probably feel like hopeless and are like, okay, I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to live with a purpose, doing something meaningful, but it's just not possible here. So I gotta look, where can I do it?
Yeah, exactly, and I think the contagious nature of hope and fear are real, and so if you're living in a society or an environment, a family unit, a community that's just, bathing in fear and not feeling empowered to move forward, it gets on you,
Yeah.
and the same thing with hope. And like my experience in, coming to El Salvador twice, I call El Salvador hope in action. And it is, because it's not just like, "La, la, la, let's sprinkle fairy dust on everything." It's like, no, there's a lot of proof of work that goes into creating this better feeling, this better culture, this better community, and it's not easy, like you said. It's not like sunshine and rainbows every single day. It's hard work, like, and you wish you had more hours in your day, because like, wow, I knocked down 25 dominoes today, but there's still 10 million out here. Holy cow. But you're still just doing it one at a time. And I think that's so powerful. And for a lot of us, who have, whatever the creature comforts of certain areas in the world, it still doesn't replace that feeling of the community and that feeling of connection. And I think for a lot of us, we feel so disconnected from each other in our own homes and in our own neighborhoods, because we're not sharing the same values, we're not sharing the same vision, you know. And I think unfortunately, COVID did a lot of huge damage to separate us and then instill fear as we're separated, so that we stay in that fear state. It's very easy to control a population if you keep them separated and afraid,
Yeah.
And so when we're united and hopeful, it's kind of hard to stop.
Yes. It's kind of hard to stop. I think in any place that you have a lot of people together, there is every, every mind is new as a word, right? Like everybody has their own ideas and their own backgrounds and everything, their own um, nationalities, of course, even your own culture.
Yeah.
But that's what I feel, and I think it happens to all of us when we hang out at Bitcoin conference. That part of feeling purpose and building, there is something like it, we might have a bad day, but we just come like energized, and we can feel tired after 3 4 days talking to so many people, but it also is like super energized. I've never felt anything like that in my life, honestly.
Yeah.
I've started feeling it these days, and then I think it was just to its peak on Madeira, because it's probably the busiest I've been at a workplace in my life because
You were cruising around. You're
oh my God.
you're
Yeah,
like
so
a
much, like we were
grasshopper.
in, yeah, I know. And then, but then I'm like, this is so strange how your body, of course, is a little bit tired of waking up early, going to bed late, and walking, because we walk a lot in Europe, which is good.
Yeah.
And then at the same time feeling this sparkle on your heart. I don't know what it was. And then also it happened last week again when we had a
Yeah.
lot of early days. I remember John was saying at the charity gala, we were there until midnight, and I had to go to this other area at 6 a.m. the next day. So it's a lot, and then eventually again another early day to go to the halving party because it's 2 hours away, but we just love it. And then when we were in the way back, we were pretty, tired, but at the same time, still talking about plans and still talking about structured and when is our next board meeting coming and what we should touch on. And then we need more teachers and we need more this and that. So it's really cool. So that, of course, if you feel aligned with that, and then you want to create something like that, and you just feel disconnected from where you are with your community, and sadly sometimes even with your own family,
Yeah.
I think it's just valid that everybody can look for that. Hopefully, this is not gonna be like, oh, everybody El Salvador is gonna be. It's great. I love everybody coming here and we welcome them. But I do hope that also we basically start to replicate this sense of community and purpose and alignment everywhere, because
Yeah.
that's how we are now also create a better world to wherever you are. It doesn't matter if you feel privileged because it's Europe, but it doesn't matter if you feel undervalued because it's the Southwest. Because at the end, only a few people are going to be able to do that as well. Everybody can feel that way, but not everybody can afford to sell everything or have a house to sell and come and move all the way to the other side of the world, right? Probably a lot of people feels that way, and just their situation doesn't allow them to make a change economically speaking, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a, I don't know if you know this song, it's an old hippie song because 'cause I'm an old hippie, but it's by Crosby, Stills, Nash. I don't know if Neil Young was on this, but if you can't be with the one you love the one you with. Love the one you're with. And, so it's like if you're not just like Felix, right? He wasn't able to jump on that plane and come and, become a part of, physically the community, but he's taking that energy and doing it where he's located. And for so many of us too, it's like I have to be where I'm at right now because of my children, and it's my choice and I love it and I wouldn't change it for the world. But it's like I wish there were more Bitcoiners around me. So I need to do my part to gather Bitcoiners close by and make little micropods and then, go to the devs and the meetups and all the stuff. And so, it takes a little bit of work, but then it's just like shifting like, okay, if I'm not going to go do this, what can I do here and how can I make the garden grow and flourish, inside of my heart and inside of the relationships that I'm involved in, and yeah, it's just kind of battling that, the negativity soup and the FUD that's contagious, and
yeah,
then making sure you go put fuel in your fuel tank with the hope, like you said, even after you're doing these big events, you know, you're drained a little bit, but your battery is charged. Even though you just did like a marathon, it's like your
yeah,
battery somehow
exactly.
somehow there's juice in it, and so I think it's really like for those of you listening who haven't been able to get to El Salvador or you haven't been able to go to any Bitcoin conferences or meetups, do it. Do it. Um,
Yeah, I love
it's
it. Yeah,
so important, and because there's an afterglow, and there's an energy around us after we get these engagements and interactions with everybody, and then it kind of oozes out into our daily lives too, and the positivity. I went through some sadness, of course, and some depression after Madeira, and I was so excited,
Yes.
but I was just like, I like waking up and just
Yeah.
seeing everybody right away, and being right there and knowing that everybody's going to be, close by. And so I think where the people are building different citadels and they're building these micro communities and these circular communities, it's like keep going and sharing resources like you guys are doing with the open source education and all the models that you're creating and sharing. I think it's super important. Um, I know we're kind of at an hour here. Is there anything you want to share with the folks who are listening about how they can support Me Premier Bitcoin and how they can, keep moving the needle forward on their big dreams and missions with Bitcoin and beyond?
Yes, thank you, Valerie. Yeah, this was a great conversation. I feel like we can talk for hours with
I
you.
could
It's
talk
always like
forever
that. I know it's
with
just
you. Let's
cool
go.
little mornings after all of this conference and we hang out.
Mhm.
So, but thank you for having me, and thank you everybody that also contributes. For us with a few sats, with resources. There is so many ways that you can. I mean, at the moment we already have pretty much languages, but we have a translation team on our Telegram group. If you feel like your language, it's not, you can translate the Bitcoin diploma to your language so more people in your own community can learn it, or you can share it. You can do that. Visit our website too. You can go to where it's at on our GitHub. You can download for free all of our resources. It's PDF. It's open source. And then, of course, we have an active campaign on Geyser. That's if you want to donate some SAT, you can donate also to the nodes. Some of them have their own fundraising, but we also do node grants, like from our, from MPB, we give a grant also to the nodes based on proof of work. So you can help us with that as well, attending one of our meetups here, sharing on Twitter, resharing. Reaching out if you feel that there is a skill or that you have and that you can contribute. We can always use it. You can go through our Twitter and see, hey guys, I guess I can help you with this. I can create videos for you, anything, and it's helpful. But of course, if any of that is out of reach and also you want to donate some sats, we really appreciate it too.
Well, and next time you guys do an auction, if you're doing any other new galas or whatever, like I would love to contribute a DJ set. So if anybody wants to,
Yeah, that would be
bid on a
awesome.
DJ set, uh, they'll have to get me where they need me, but I'll be happy to come and rock their party, whether it's a big party, small party, I don't care. But if who knows if anybody would bid on that? But just whatever, it's something you can throw in your thing. Let's go see how Max auctions that sucker off.
I know, right? It would be great. Yes. Thank you, Valerie. Yes, that's good. Yeah, we want to do that. I mean, we plan to do the charity gala once a year. So it should be around every April. And that will be awesome and to have you. And then for anyone that hasn't listened to, like I was thinking in the Halloween party, the playlist would have much better if Valerie was here. So we could just do a little bit of everything, not talking about the DJ, but yes, awesome to see you, to contribute as well. The panel that we did together, women panels, was awesome. There is just so much, so much coming, and I'm so excited of everybody joining and everybody finding out about us and then feeling refueled so they can go on their own park. Bitcoin is about proof of work. We gotta do it, people.
We gotta do it, and yeah, thank you so much, and yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to the women's panel for the unconference. That was amazing to get to do that with you guys, and it just we're so early, we're just scratching the surface, and I'm just so happy to be on this journey with you guys, and I love what you're doing, Reyna, and what everybody at Me Premier Bitcoin is up to. You guys are such a great role model and inspiration for how to scale education for everybody and how to scale Bitcoin in a really meaningful and step by step way that makes a lot of sense and that's accessible. And I think that's really so powerful. So yeah, so thanks for
Thank
being
you.
on the show, and everybody, you guys go follow Reyna. Hold on, I got to pull your thing up. Go to Reyna Chicas too. I've got that right, right?
Yes,
I
that's
forgot how it
right.
was spelled a second ago. Uh, and then you guys can also go to whoever's listening. So follow on X at Reyna, ReynaChicas, the number 2, and then me premier bitcoin.io. And then it's my first Bitcoin is X, right? I
Yes, my
forgot to
first
put that.
Bitcoin underscore. It's
Underscore.
on Twitter.
Okay,
Yes, it's also on
cool.
my profile. Anyone it also tag,
Right.
and yeah, my mi primer Bitcoin.io.
.io. It's awesome. And yeah, go donate some sats, even if it's a few sats, every sat adds up, right? And who
Everything.
knows what those suckers are going to be worth in 10 years, like when uh Geraldo's doing his thing in 10 years. Who knows what Bitcoin's
Who
going to be
knows?
doing in 10
Yeah.
years?
He's just getting better with the English, but I told him that the other day. I'm like, you I have so much to share and to talk. Let's just get there. He's amazing, yeah. And basically we want to replicate that, but in everyone, right? That level
I would
of love and purpose and dedication to so many young men. I can yes. I had a podcast the other day also with an 18-year-old. Amazing. It's just amazing, yeah. What these kids are doing.
Yeah, so let's keep sharing the stories of success. I think that gives everybody a sense of like, "Oh my gosh, this stuff's working. Yay, let's
It
keep
is
doing more."
working. Yes. To everything is not working, yeah, just check up on Twitter, see our interviews. We just did a video of the last graduation, what they think, put some captions there because it's in Spanish, but they are so hopeful. Even my mom, when she saw it, she was like, these kids already at 18 already know that, like imagine if we would have known. And I'm like, yes, I wish because that means that she will have Bitcoin early.
Totally. I know, right? And now we think about all these young kids who are gonna have it, and it's just gonna be built into their operating system. It's not something
Exactly.
that they have to go unlearn. They're
Mhm.
just getting the foundation at the young level. It's so important. So, all right, sister, I love you so much. I can't wait to get
Love
down
you,
there again and
Valerie.
see you, and I wanna keep supporting Me Premier Bitcoin in any way I can, and, everybody
Thank
who's
you.
listening, make sure you follow Reyna and Me Premier Bitcoin, and I'll talk with you soon. Thanks again
Thank
for
you,
sharing your
Valerie. You're a
time,
star.
and,
Thank you for having me.
yeah, for
Bye,
sure.
everyone.
All right, everybody. Peace, love, and warm aloha.